Vice President Mike Pence arriving at the White House for the first time since the U.S. Capitol riots. Pence now facing growing pressure to use the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office within days.
Every day that Donald Trump is President of the United States is a day of grave danger.
Shouldn't we be putting the attention on the future instead of calling all the attention into the passions of the House over this next 12 days?
As we head toward a possible second impeachment, the FBI zeroes in on the rioters who incriminated themselves on social media.
We're looking at all actors here and anyone that had a role and the evidence fits the elements of a crime, they're going to be charged.
And that is where we begin tonight. Good evening, everyone. The Justice Department announcing federal charges against 13 people connected to the violence at the Capitol.
The FBI now saying this is just the beginning of its efforts to hold those responsible for the destruction. One thing helping them, social media. This afternoon, the FBI tracked down this man in Arkansas, took him into custody. Richard Barnett is the man featured in this viral photo sitting at House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's desk.
Barnett and the other dozen people that face charges likely knowingly entering or remaining in any restricted buildings or grounds, violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds, theft of public money, property or records, and many others.
The FBI says about 40 other people have been arrested and charged in superior courts. Among those arrested is a West Virginia Republican state lawmaker. Derek Evans is charged with entering a restricted area. He live streamed himself rushing into the Capitol building with other rioters.
And the FBI now warning anyone who might be considering engaging in or inciting violence in the coming weeks. You will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Prosecutors plan to open a federal murder investigation into the death of a U.S. Capitol police officer. Brian Sicknick died last night. He was hit in the head with a fire extinguisher during the riots and died at the hospital. Sicknick is the fifth person to die as a result of the siege. Now, the Department of Defense tonight bracing for more protests and possibly more violence around the inauguration this month.
This afternoon, Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy said National Guard members may be allowed to carry batons or guns in Washington, D.C. McCarthy says any changes will be determined by the intelligence gathered in the coming days about potential threats. President Trump said earlier today he will skip the inauguration. That would make him the first incumbent president to not attend his successor's inauguration since Andrew Johnson. President-elect Joe Biden said today he's fine with that.
The few things he and I have ever agreed on. It's a good thing I'm not showing up.
Biden used that same time on stage today to say President Trump isn't fit for the job, but he repeatedly refused to endorse growing Democratic calls that he be impeached for a second time.
What the Congress decides to do is for them to decide. But I'm going to have to, and they're going to have to be ready to hit the ground running.
House Democrats say they could introduce articles of impeachment against President Trump as soon as Monday.
Congressional Republicans may stand in the way. Whitney Wild breaks it down from Washington.
House Democrats, furious at President Trump for the violence on Capitol Hill, are talking about impeachment.
Donald Trump needs to be removed from office, and we are going to proceed with every tool that we have to make sure that that happens to protect our democracy.
The process would be much different than President Trump's first impeachment. In 2019, congressional committees held long investigations and drawn-out hearings. This time, the clock is ticking.
We can use procedural tools to get articles of impeachment to the floor for a House vote quickly.
Then a simple majority is all that is needed to impeach.
The Democrats in the Congress feel very, very strongly that President Trump must be held accountable.
If that happens, Trump would be the only president in history to be impeached twice.
Impeachment, I just don't think it serves the interests of the United States in the long run.
Some worry about the fallout of such an act, since it's unclear whether the Senate has the time or the will to convict the president.
I don't know that we need more brinkmanship here in the final 12 days of the Trump administration. I think we need more leadership.
President Trump tweeted that he'll skip Joe Biden's inauguration. But as the president and his team prepare for a potential impeachment, flags at the Capitol fly at half-staff. a reminder of the deadly attack on Congress. In Washington, I'm Whitney Wild.
Meanwhile, Indiana Democrat Congressman Andre Carson, one of the House members, calling for Trump's removal from office. I talked to him earlier today for All Indiana Politics.
I think he needs to be removed from office. My colleagues are calling for it. A fellow Hoosier, Mike Pence, would have to be on board. But look, we're entering recess. By the time we come back, we'll be swearing in Joe Biden as our president. And so it's really a symbolic gesture, but symbols have meanings, as we see.
If there's a vote for impeachment, would you vote to impeach the president?
Absolutely, absolutely. But at this point, by the time we get back, we'll be swearing in Joe Biden.
Right, right.
But if there is one, I'll be there.
Carson also told me that he believes there were riot sympathizers inside the Capitol Police. You can hear that part of our interview on All Indiana Politics Sunday morning, 9:30, right here on Wish TV.